So I have been playing through Terra, I have been playing through Blade and Soul, I played through Perfect World, Neverwinter, all of these different MMOs recently, and it left me wondering, where is the MMORPG genre going? Before we jump into the video though, I do want to take a minute to talk about today's sponsor, Baseball Superstars. This is a brand new fantasy style baseball game with a deep, intense character development system akin to what you'd find in an RPG. If that sounds like something that you'd be interested in, then go ahead and click that link in the description in the pinned comment below to be taken directly to the game. This is a game with millions of players and over 25,000 highly positive reviews left via the Google Play Store and Apple stores respectively. You'll be capable of highly customizing your team's logo, the stadium itself, your equipment. You'll be able to fully alter your team's appearance, field positions, and participate in a variety of different game modes. I mean, take a look at this for example. This looks exactly like me. Like, you could do a side-by-side shot and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. This will of course prevent you from getting bored, as you won't be forced into a single type of play. The Galaxy Cup, Electors Lab, DIA Home Run Derby, Planet League, Superstar League, there's a ton of things to do in this game. And the best part, if you go ahead and download the game right now, you'll get some sick rewards like trainer recruits, the King Tiger costume, and more. See, when I started playing MMORPGs, it was sometime back in 2005, 2006. I started with Tales of Pirates or Pirate King Online. Then I moved on to Perfect World International in 2008 to 2010. Both were very large MMORPGs. They had open world environments. They had a really strong community, but at the same time, both of these MMOs were PvP oriented, completely PvP oriented. These were MMOs that had strong PvE aspects, but at the same time, very strong PvP focuses as well. And at the time, I was a teenager. I had this innate need to go around and PK other players. I'm not sure what it is. I guess it's the same reason why battle royales and things like Call of Duty and Counter-Strike are as popular as they are. And while I do enjoy games like Overwatch still, I feel like I've kind of lost that competitive urge that I used to have when I was a teenager. I'm not sure what it is about getting older that makes you lose that competitive itch that needs scratched, but either way, at the time, I thought that I needed PvP in an MMO because PvP allowed me to assert that dominance that I had over all of the people that I had conquered, when in reality, I really didn't. After Perfect World International, I moved on to a plethora of other games, Flife, Grand Fantasia, Eden Eternal, Florentia Online, Fiesta, and I inevitably made my way to World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft allowed me to scratch that itch for open world PvP that I had back when I played Perfect World and Tales of Pirates. I rolled onto PvP servers. I became a part of a guild. This guild went around. We raided other capitals. We engaged in mass world PvP. We queued for things like Alterac Valley together. And I had almost more fun during that period of my time than almost any other period in my entire MMO career over the course of the last 16 years playing MMOs. But after I got bored with World of Warcraft for a while, I ended up going to other MMOs like Final Fantasy XIV, which were pretty much entirely PvE oriented. And I learned that while I did miss the PvP aspects of games like Tales of Pirates, Perfect World, and World of Warcraft, I felt myself being more prone to enjoying the PvE aspects of games, getting caught up in the narrative, getting caught up in becoming a part of a community that is pressing and pushing towards conquering an objective like Savage raids, like Mythic raids and Mythic dungeons, like all of these instances of PvE content that I was not interested in when I was a kid were now appealing to me. So when I went back to World of Warcraft, it came to my attention that they had introduced a brand new feature called War Mode. This new War Mode was entirely different to anything that I had experienced before. They'd removed PvP servers and they'd made it so you can toggle on your PvP mode, which meant that you could essentially be in PvP if you wanted to, or you could opt out of PvP entirely. And if you decided you wanted the PvP, you would be switched to a PvP world, like an entire instance filled with other players that also had PvP enabled. And subsequently, if you decided to disable that, you would appear in an instance where every other player had PvE mode turned on, so PvP mode disabled. Therefore, there were two different instances of the same game, the same area, and the same world coexisting alongside one another, and you were capable of playing in whichever one you wanted. Now, this taught me that I really did not need PvP in World of Warcraft. I did not necessarily need PvP in my MMOs nearly as much as I thought I did. And while I do still very much enjoy arenas and battlegrounds and open world PvP, because both MRSSTIX and I do play with war mode turned on, I learned that the PvE aspect of the MMO is more appealing to me than the PvP now. And again, that could just be due to age. I don't know. I guess some of you oldies like me, I'm 31 years old now, are going to have to let me know if you guys feel the same way. Now, ever since Final Fantasy XIV and World of Warcraft, I have these downtimes between patches, between updates, and I go about playing other games. Like I mentioned, I'm recently jumping back into Terra and Bleeding Soul and a bunch of other older MMOs because I'm looking to do more updated looks on them. But at the same time, there are other MMOs that are in development that are going to be releasing soon, like Ilion, like Lost Ark and Blue Protocol. But I've come to learn that a lot of MMO releases that have happened over the course of the last couple years have actually been asset flips or entirely cash grabs, which has me very disconcerted because that never used to be the case. Most MMOs these days seem to be either re-releases of games that have already shut down within North America and Europe, such as Warlords Awakening, which used to be Elite Lord of Alliance, like DK Online, like Guardians of Ember. These are games that existed at one point, shut down because they failed within North America and Europe, and then have been brought back to life with founders packs all over again, trying to reestablish themselves and milk as much money from players as they possibly can. Or they are games that released within Asia that did so poorly, that failed so miserably within Asia as a free-to-play title, that they decide that they want to bring it over to North America and Europe as potentially a buy-to-play MMORPG. They go ahead and release founders packs for it, and they attempt to scam, milk as much money as they possibly can out of a community that is thirsty for something new. So that is essentially the last several years of new MMO releases, but these aren't just Asian MMO developers. These aren't Asian MMO publishers that are the ones that are potentially scamming players out of money. If you take a minute here and look at other recent failed MMO releases, then you can find things like the Oath MMORPG, you can find things like Chronicles of Illyria, you can find things like Dreamworld and Legion the Eternal War. Like, there are so many indie MMOs out there as well that are promising one thing and delivering another, or promising one thing, not delivering anything at all, or just taking your money and making a run for it. Indie MMOs have become a very prevalent part of the scene, the MMO scene in general recently. There are so many that are being worked on by one guy, two guys, maybe a few guys in total that have no experience, that are not professional in any capacity, and we are just throwing tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars at them in the hope that they'll create something good. And they don't. They really do not. They either make something garbage, they either delay the development process for years, delivering nothing, or they just take your money and run for it, as I mentioned. And we continue to fall for this repeatedly. I don't understand why, but it happens. The MMORPG genre right now has shifted in a direction that, if you told me 3 years ago was going to be the direction we were headed, I would not have believed you. But fast forward from 2018 to just 2021, we have more cross-platform MMORPGs in development than any other type of MMORPG. If you think about it, cross-platform MMOs are kind of the future of the genre, whether you like this or not, and whether you agree with it or you don't. Genshin Impact kind of proved that cross-platform games are capable of being done right. And while I don't necessarily agree with the business model that Genshin Impact employs, or the very limited multiplayer aspect and functionality of the game, I can admit that Genshin Impact as a cross-platform title was handled very well. And you can see this reflected in the MMOs that have been announced over the course of the last several months, like Ragnarok, like Tower of Fantasy, like ODIN Valhalla Rising, multiple of Nexon's new MMOs. A lot of MMORPG developers out of Asia are now making cross-platform MMOs. And Asian MMOs are some of the best looking, probably best playing MMOs out there. And the more cross-platform MMOs that are made, the more we are going to shift to that direction. So yeah, the future of the MMORPG genre seems to be going cross-platform. It's not necessarily going to be exclusively cross-platform between PC and mobile. I've seen that there are multiple upcoming MMORPGs that have been announced with cross-platform functionality, including console as well. And there are a couple out there that are going to be exclusively PC and console games. So it's not all mobile games. Mobile MMOs are not the future. I'm thankful for that because I've played a lot of mobile MMOs over the last year or two, having the MMO by Mobile YouTube channel. And let me tell you, these mobile MMOs are all the exact same game and they are all absolutely atrocious. Now, do I think the MMORPG genre is dying? No, not at all. The MMORPG genre, if you think about it, is more alive today than it has ever been. Final Fantasy XIV's Shadowbringers expansion hit an all-time high. Shadowlands had a ton of sales, and the cross-platform genre is going to have tens, if not hundreds of millions of players over the next couple years when these MMOs become more prominent in the MMO scene and when they inevitably end up becoming better quality titles that can actually compete with PC exclusive MMOs. I'm actually kind of excited to see where we end up going because while I do think games like Blue Protocol, while I do think New World, Elion, Lost Ark, they all have the definite potential to be really good games. I know that opening up the game and opening up the market to mobile games as well, or at least to include mobile gamers, is going to provide a much healthier community, a much healthier market for MMO players. But what do you guys think? Where do you think the future of the MMORPG genre is headed? Do you think it's cross-platform? Do you think that the genre is just going to up and die, knowing full well that mobile MMOs are as popular as they are and that they can literally house hundreds of millions of players? Let me know down in the comment section below and let's talk about it. Anyway guys, that is it from me. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe for more content like this and I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Someday soon, I'm gonna make